Welcome to Real Estate Radio Live, an informative and engaging podcast discussing everything you need to know about the world of real estate. Your host, Joe Caccera, provides you with insight and guidance on how to buy, sell, finance, and invest in real estate. He also offers real estate tax management strategies, new construction advice, home improvement tips, and much, much more. And now, to guide you around the world of real estate, here's your host and Real Estate Radio Live team leader, Joe Caccera.
Welcome in. This is Joe Caccera with Real Estate Radio Live, the podcast series, as we continue through the week. And a reminder, again, we're with you 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. We are here and we do what I would call, really informational, I guess they are informal, informational, I guess. And education, that's our objective. It always has been for 7 years now, is to provide you, the consumer, with as much information and education as we can to help you make wise decisions in and around your real estate. The great thing about podcast is that we could do that in, like 25, 30-minute segments. That way hopefully you get all the details, pertinent data, and with you really very few or none commercials or breaks or anything that allows you to really get this information in an efficient way. So we're happy about that. Just a reminder, if you need any help on purchase financing, refinancing, anything to do with financing, I can help you at that side. You could contact me, text or call 408-838-9060, or you could always email joe@reradiolive.com. Today's topic is... I know it's going to sound kind of funny, but things are changing right now in the world of financing, just like everything else with technology. So where's the best place to find a mortgage? Of course, it's me. Come on. All right, show's over. Best place, give me a call. No, seriously. So there are different avenues, there are different approaches, and I'm going to talk about that today in the podcast. Where is the best place to find a mortgage? And I'm going to talk through those, and some may surprise you, some may not. Some different strategies. A lot of how you find a mortgage today has to do with influence, who you know, who you don't know. And then a lot of it has to do with generational really behaviors and strategies. And what I mean by that is, someone that's 22 years old is going to typically take a different approach to looking for a mortgage. Someone that's maybe 35, 36, maybe will take similar or a different approach. Someone who's in their 40s, different, similar, but different approach. Someone who's in their 50s, 60s, 70s, for instance, through those tracks, people are going to take a different approach. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the older generation, and I'm going to work my way in reverse, because I think it's a better thing to do in terms of what we're dealing with technology and those types of things. So, there's, of course, the different ways to find a mortgage, right? The obvious one is you know someone, you have a relationship with someone, you've done business with them for many years. I have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of clients like that. And, of course, I feel very fortunate to have that business, and these people rely on me and trust me for their mortgage. So that's one way. You know someone, you've done business with them, you're confident, you trust them, you go to them. The other one is online, and this is where a lot of people are really starting their search with everything now. The statistics, you've probably heard me say it before, statistics are 94 to 95% of people start their real estate search online before they even contact an agent. They get online, they start looking at schools, areas, neighborhoods, price points, all that kind of stuff before they contact an agent. So online, this is where a lot of people access their initial information about a mortgage. What are some of the other ways? Well, I'll tell you the traditional, old school, probably, I'm not sure, percentage-wise, my guess is it's at the lower end of percentage. My guess it's probably 5 or 10% of people do it this way. 5 or 10% of people probably walk into a bank that they have a relationship with someone, maybe for years, and they sit down with them and they get a mortgage that way. my guess is, unfortunately, maybe fortunately or unfortunately, that model is shrinking. And there's some reasons why that model's shrinking. One, people's time. I find that, even with new clients, I'll get a call or an email. Someone will say, Joe, I was referred to you. I'll need to purchase a home or I need to refinance. And I'll always, either in a phone call or email, invite them into my office. I'll say, I'd love to meet you. If you want to stop by the office, schedule an appointment. But I'll also say in that same email or phone call that based on your availability and your time and for convenience, I'm happy to schedule a phone call too. 95% of the time, people schedule a phone call or they do something via email. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's the best way or someone else's strategy or way, but that's just the facts. Those are the facts. Most people are busy, especially the younger generation. We'll work our way that way. Most people have their comfort level with online interacting, transmitting documents back and forth electronically. They're very comfortable with that. But we're still with the older generation. So the older generation, I do find they do want to come in. So if I have clients and they're, for instance, 60s, 70s, 80s, it's, they have a more comfort level. Even if I've worked with them before and they know me, I find that a lot of them still want to say, I want to come by your office. It's really important for that generation, the older generation. It is, and not as a rule, but the large percentage of them, they've done business, they grew up, and they really live their life more so developing relationships with people in the way they did business. So they're very comfortable, and matter of fact, they'll want to come into the office and sit down and talk and just look at someone and talk to them and know that there's someone in front of them or next to them or, discussing these strategies and options with them. I find that in the older generation, it's still prevalent and people love to do that. So if we move the other direction a little bit, let's say in the 40 to 50 year range, 40 to 50 year olds, those are, again, kind of the baby boomer generation, which makes up a big, large chunk. And that is really the majority, again, on the phone, email, even text to some extent. Now, you're not documents and stuff, but usually that's where the age break is. I still get some people in that age range, say 40, 50 range, that want to come in. Very few, though. Now, especially when I haven't done business with someone, I always invite them to come into the office. But again, I could tell you 90% of the time, even though I'll encourage it and I'll recommend it, most people will say, thank you, I appreciate that, Joe, but I'd rather schedule a call. My schedule's tight. Maybe they're with a spouse or maybe with a partner or someone else, and they have to deal with someone else's schedule, so it's more difficult. It just is. So, again, the different places and times and ways to find a mortgage. Most people these days will schedule the phone call. I'll go over scenarios and options with them. They'll decide, okay, sounds good, let's move forward. And then we create an email list of things that they need. And we're lucky we're one of the few major banks and lenders that really make the best use of technology. We really do. We have a source and then which we submit a checklist, and then along with that checklist is a link that allows people to upload documents securely back to us. So there's no scanning, there's no faxing, there's no copying, there's no FedExing. It's really a neat process, and it should have been done a long time ago, but nonetheless, it's here now, and we offer that technology, and it's wonderful, and it allows people really to be more efficient and secure at the same time because they're not sending something, scanned, faxed, or in other ways. So it's very good. So that's the process of someone that is starting a mortgage, looking for a mortgage. Kind of traditionally, if they have a relationship, that's how it works. And that process is changing yearly, even quicker. quicker. So that is the traditional way. You walk in, very small percentage. A larger percentage want to have a phone call, do something via email. That is a larger percentage of the transactions. That is typically how a majority of people secure mortgage loans. Now, we're going to take a break in a minute or so. When I come back, I'm going to talk about some of the ways that are really starting to trend and move rapidly in another direction, and that is people are now doing more of their research and really kind of delving into online. In other words, they may see something that pops up that it catches their interest, and they'll do some online interaction with someone. There's apps now, right on your iPhone or Android or whatever. You could access apps where it could get you directly to a source for lending. And then there's, relationships that others have with personal kind of financial planners, and we'll talk a little bit about that too. But the main two things I want to talk about are some of the upcoming, and I think really the thing that's going to be driving in more of the direction is going to be people accessing online activity and then using apps. So those are the two things that I'm going to talk about when we come back. Percentage-wise, how many people are going online to initially search for mortgages, and then who's using apps, what kind of apps are good. And then on the other side, I'm also going to talk about these are great, but can you trust them? What are the ups, what are the positives, and what are the negatives? There's always positives and negatives to everything. So when I come back, I'm going to share those. Who's going online? What kind of activity? Where should you go? Where should you find this information? What kind of apps? And then what are the positives and negatives on both of these? I'll be back with that to share that with you in just a minute.
For more information on today's program, visit reradiolive.com. That's reradiolive.com.
Hi, this is Joe Kuchera, host of Real Estate Radio Live and Bay Area Mortgage Planner. In addition to being your home financing expert, please remember you could always contact me for other trusted advisors such as realtors, financial planners, and CPAs. Please feel free to contact me at 408-838-9060. That's 408-838-9060, or email joe at reradiolive.com, or visit my website at reradiolive.com for more details.
Welcome back to Real Estate Radio Live. For more information on today's topic or guests, just visit reradiolive.com. That's reradiolive.com. Again, your host for today's edition of Real Estate Radio Live, Joe Kuchera.
Welcome back in. Joe Kuchera with Real Estate Radio Live, the podcast series, as we continue through. And the topic today, the second part of this, where do you find the best mortgage? That is the question, the topic today. And I said at the beginning of the show, as soon as I started it, that's with me, of course. So all kidding aside, that is, if I could help you with a mortgage, that's what I do. Always, it does not matter. Relationships to me are very important. So those are, to me, my personal opinion is that if you could find someone that you trust, and certainly they have to be competitive in the marketplace, they have to understand the market, but someone that you trust that's going to follow through and close the deal on time, especially on a purchase, but also someone that is going to stay in contact with you, has a team, that you don't feel like you're left out on an island. There's a lot of things that are important, I think, to most people. So the second part here, I'm going to talk a little bit about activity online apps. So the first part, we talked about kind of traditional, very few people walk into banks and offices. Most people now are on the telephone or email in that transaction. That's how the majority of the business is taking place. What I'm going to talk about now is online. So I remember, 10, 15 years ago, when I think it was eLoan was one of the first kind of online. It was eLoan, and the talk in our business was within a couple of years, You won't need offices anymore. You won't need people anymore. You're just going to be able to do everything online. Well, I think people realized real quick that with financial documents, with personal information, with secured, with anything to do with money and finances and personal information, we weren't anywhere close we were 10 or 15 years ago to have the technology and security to really do transactions efficiently and effectively and in a secure way online. To some extent, we aren't today. We're better. We're further along, but not 100%. So online, here are my suggestions. I think the ability to go online and research is wonderful. I think it's the best part of technology. I really do. I just do it. Here's why I love the online, really the activity online, is that it makes you a wiser consumer. It makes you aware of more what's going on. Now, you have to be careful because there's a lot of scams out there, and there's a lot of people that will say things and post things that just to get your attention. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that. Be careful. But I love technology and the online process because it does allow a person to go on, do research uninterrupted. It's not like someone's in your face trying to sell you something. You could figure out what's going on. I do 90% of my shopping online now. Most of it, even grocery and different things. If you know what you're buying, and a lot of times shipping's free, it's just really convenient to do this online. So with a mortgage, here are the things that I would caution you with. Let's go through the caution stage first of online. First, here are the problems with going online. So you might go online and punch in Google, best rates or mortgage broker or mortgage banker or lender or whatever. You're going to get millions of things that come up. Who do you trust? Here's what I find out. Here's what happens, unfortunately. Someone will go onto a website and they'll say, just simply give us a little bit of information about yourself and we'll get some feedback to you. And so a lot of times someone will just say, is it a refinance? Is it a purchase? What's your name? What's your email? Really simple, right? And you'll fill out that information thinking, oh, this is safe. This is fine. This is harmless. It's not going to be a problem. And then within an hour, you get absolutely barraged with emails and even phone calls if you were to give your phone number potentially. It's amazing. I mean, you get 15, 20, 30 emails from different, and you're going, what the hell's going on here? How did I fill out one form? I thought I was sending it to one person, one company, and I'm getting 20 different responses. I'll tell you why. Here is the shifty, kind of sneaky part that I don't like about online services in companies that are really, they're not being honest. Let's face it. It's not fraud, but they're not honest. So here's what I mean by this. They make you believe that you are contacting a lender the way it's programmed and put up and the logos and different things. Here's what happens most of the time when you fill out some information on a form. You're going to a aggregator or a search engine or a company, a marketing company that pays tons of money to be on the front page of Google search. And they get you to enter for information, and then they sell leads or they sell information quickly to 5, 10, 15, 20 different lenders. So that's what their job is. In other words, they're not a lender. And this is what you have to be careful with. So now you've given your information to people you don't know. You've given some of your information to people that don't have anything to do with the lending business. The only thing they have to do with is they're a marketing company, period. They farm leads. I'll tell you what happens. A lot of these companies, when you fill out the information, they'll sell that for $20, $50. If you fill out more information, if you fill out an information that says first, last name, email, I'm looking for a purchase, my purchase price is $1 million, I'm putting 20% down. If the more information you give, here's the way the internet works and online services work. Your lead is going to be more expensive or more valuable to someone. So if you fill out a very detailed sheet of looking for a purchase or a refinance. In other words, you're pretty serious about it. Someone's going to sell that for, $100, $150 to someone typically. So here's the problem. Do you want your information being shared, even if it's name and email, with 20, 30, 40, 50 different resources? This is the biggest problem doing business online. It really is. Be careful of this. Now, if you go do a search, obviously if Wells Fargo comes up or New American Funding, who I work for, Chase, if it's a company that's well documented, you know the name, you could do a little research. Oh yeah, I see that New American Funding, we're in 40 plus states. We're a major mortgage banking operation. We do a lot of business in California. You could see that when you see something, when you go to Wells Fargo or something, typically, yeah, it's a big company, but at least the odds are that I'm probably going to get a call back or someone that's associated with that company, right? But here's a secondary problem, and it happens a lot like at a Wells Fargo, a B of A, or a Chase. It really does. Let's say you go on their website and you think, oh, this is fine. It's a legitimate company. And again, you fill out some simple information. What you're typically going to get is someone that's paid to take that lead and channel it or funnel it to someone who they think they should. In other words, there's a good chance even if you go to Chase. Now, they may be a Chase or Wells Fargo employee, don't get me wrong, but their job is not to do the loan. Their job is to pass that on to someone in the area in which you emailed or contacted. So it's still a frustrating process. Now, some people will say this, and I'm running out of time here, so I want to really get to the meat of this. Some people will say, well, Joe, these rates, when I went to bankrate.com or Lending Tree or Cash Call, and a lot of these things are, to me, are just goofy. And the reason I say they're goofy is that, unfortunately, they have to mislead you. This is not the case everywhere, but they have to mislead you to get you to pick up the phone, to email or text them. They have to, because it's too good to be true. So a lot of times I'll get people that call and say, Joe, I know you quoted me 4.25%, but these guys are telling me it's 4% at no cost at all. And typically what I'll say in most cases is, did you get, right away I'll say, okay, did you get something signed? Did you get a good faith estimate or a loan estimate? In our business is LE, excuse me. Did you get something in writing that shows the details of that rate? Because there's a cost to every rate. And typically they'll say, oh no, but they told me they could get me 4%. And again, I'll come back to them. I said, remember, you never worked with this person before. They're telling you something. They've given you nothing in writing. Think about what we just talked about. See, if I work with someone or if someone comes to me and they say, Joe, I'm buying a house, and they give me very specific data, I'm going to give them a loan estimate that's going to show the interest rate, today's rate, based on their criteria, and the total cost with that. They're going to get a loan estimate from me. They're going to get something that's going to show them, okay, I see what's happening here. I see the cost of this rate and then doing business. If you go online, if you're going to delve into that, I'm not saying it's a great resource. It's a great resource to sometimes get information, get data, and maybe see what the marketplace is getting in terms of rates and fees. I would just be very skeptical and be careful with doing business with someone online. I'll give you a quick example before we have to duck out. If you feel like you have this great rate, so you're going to go forward with someone, and you're here in San Jose, and you're talking to someone in North Carolina because this is someone sitting in a room that gets paid a lot less than most people, so they could channel these leads and they'll do a loan for you. You don't know if these people could produce. You don't know if they understand California lending. You don't know if they understand appraisals and a lot of things to do with lending. So just be very careful. I would say those are the downsides. The positives of being online is that you could really get a lot of great data and information. Do your research, take notes, find out what's out there, and then call someone you trust or call someone you're referred to or call someone you've done business with and share that data and information with them before you make your final decision. And that's what I would say. All right, we're running out of time. Thanks again for checking in. Again, any more information, go to reradiolive.com. Thanks for tuning in today. Have a great day. I'll be back with you tomorrow.
You've been listening to Real Estate Radio Live. For more information on today's program, visit reradiolive.com. That's reradiolive.com. Subscribe to our podcast. Discover more at reradiolive.com.